heard and I watched. And the one thing I'll say is they kept saying about what I said right after the insurrection. Because I think it was an insurrection caused by Nancy Pelosi.
Following the Supreme Court's oral argument where Trump's lawyer stated that Donald Trump did not engage in an insurrection, but that it was a riot and just a lot of chaos, Donald Trump gave that press conference right there, removing all doubt, saying it was an insurrection, but Trump, in his cognitively impaired and propaganda-driven mind, said it was Nancy Pelosi who actually led the insurrection, not me. It was Donald Trump's press conference at Mar-a-Lago, moments after his lawyer was arguing before the United States Supreme Court on the 14th Amendment Section 3 disqualification case. And here's what Donald Trump's lawyer argued during oral argument. Play the clip.
Question. The Colorado Supreme Court concluded that the violent attempts of the petitioner's supporters in this case to halt the count on January 6th qualified as an insurrection as defined by Section 3. And I read your opening brief to accept that those events counted as an insurrection, but then your reply seemed to suggest that they were not. So what is your position as to that?
We never accepted or conceded in our opening brief that this was an insurrection. What we said in our opening brief was President Trump did not engage in any act that can plausibly be characterized as insurrection.
All right, so why would this not be an what is your argument that it's not? Your reply brief says that it wasn't because I think you say it did not involve an organized attempt to overthrow the government. So
that's one of many reasons. But for an insurrection, there needs to be an organized, concerted effort to overthrow the government of the United States through violence. And this
so
riot
the point
that
is that a chaotic effort to overthrow the government is not an insurrection?
No, we didn't concede that it's an effort to overthrow the government either, Justice Jackson. Right? None of these criteria were met. This was a riot. It was not an insurrection. The events were shameful, criminal, violent, all of those things, but it did not qualify as insurrection as that term is used in Section 3.
Thank you.
Thank you, counsel.
So as you see Donald Trump making the exact opposite argument as his lawyer, also Donald Trump stating that it was an insurrection and then blaming it on Nancy Pelosi. By saying it was an insurrection, Donald Trump is actually further incriminating himself as well in the various other criminal cases. And of course, his delusional, deranged, conspiracy-laden attack on Nancy Pelosi for January 6th. Is it going to change the hearts and minds of any MAGA cult members? No. But I hope mainstream Republicans, independents, and of course, Democrats, progressive liberals, or just people who care about facts, normalcy, and our democracy will look at that and be horrified. Here, Donald Trump then goes on to talk about how he sent out beautiful tweets on January 6th. Beautiful, magnificent. This is what he said. Play the clip.
My words right after. You take a look at my speech from the Rose Garden, which was very shortly after. Or you take a look at I'm only on Truth now, but at that time we were tweeting and I was on Twitter. If you take a look at those 5 or 6 tweets, you will see very beautiful, very heartwarming statements. Go home, the police are doing their job, etc., etc. Beautiful statements.
Next up, Donald Trump says that the cases against him are illegal and they must stop. Play the clip.
With the weaponization of politics, they weaponized it like it's never been weaponized before. It's totally illegal, but they do it anyway. And it has to stop. Every one of the court cases that I'm involved, every single one, civil, whether it's the attorney generals or the district attorneys. You look at Fani in Georgia. They had many meetings with the White House and with the DOJ. They went there, 8-hour meetings. That was all staged. That was a phony hoax. And now you look at it, and it is a phony hoax. And hopefully that case will be dismissed in short order. It's a disgrace to this country. But they work together with the Justice Department and the White House, and not supposed to do that. Every one of these cases you see comes out of the White House. It comes out of Biden. It's election interference, and it's really very sad.
Here, Donald Trump praises the Republican MAGA Mike Johnson, or MAGA Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House. And Donald Trump says he likes MAGA Mike and has confidence in him after MAGA Mike and the MAGA Republicans destroyed a bipartisan border deal that would have been the toughest border deal in history, because Donald Trump wants to whine about the border and complain about it rather than come up with solutions. Trump wants to undermine border security as a political issue. Play the clip.
President, do you still have confidence in Speaker Johnson after the failed Mayorkas impeachment effort?
I do have confidence in him, yeah. I very much do. I think he's a very good man, and I have great confidence in him.
Have you heard of BonCharge? BonCharge is a holistic wellness brand with a huge range of evidence-based products to optimize your life in every way. Founded on science and inspired by nature, all BonCharge products adopt ancestral ways of living in our modern world. Their extensive range of premium wellness products help you sleep better, perform better, have more energy, recover faster, balance hormones, reduce inflammation. The list is endless. But my favorite product from BonCharge is their infrared sauna blanket. The infrared sauna blanket works wonders. It has for me, and I know it will for you as well. The sauna blanket works by raising heart rate to that of physical exercise, so it burns calories while you relax. You can burn up to 600 calories in just one session. Sweating helps flush out those heavy metals and other toxins, and the infrared heat elevates your heart rate while relaxing, which releases endorphins and can leave you feeling euphoric after your session. It works by using infrared light, which heats the body directly rather than the air around you like a traditional sauna. This means you get the same benefits at a lower heat. You also do not need to have your head in the heat like a traditional sauna. It's so easy to set up. It takes less than a minute to set up, in fact, and it heats up rapidly. Enjoy a session for 30 to 40 minutes while relaxing, reading, watching TV, meditating, whatever you'd like. I've tried other products, but they simply don't work nearly as well as BonCharge. BonCharge infrared sauna is easy to clean up. It heats up quickly. It's super simple to use, and the lightweight design makes it perfect. BonCharge ships worldwide in rapid time and has free shipping on every sauna blanket with no hidden costs. And it comes with a 12-month warranty. So here's what you got to do. Go to boncharge.com/Meidas and use the coupon code Meidas, M-E-I-D-A-S, to save 15%. That's BONCHARGE.com/Meidas and use the coupon code Meidas to save 15%. Next, Donald Trump goes on a rant about why he should have absolute presidential immunity, why he should be able to engage in any crimes at all while he's in office and never be prosecuted for anything like trying to overthrow the results of a free and fair election. Here is Donald Trump kind of ranting and raving about absolute presidential immunity. That's not the issue that was before the Supreme Court today. The issue before the Supreme Court was on 14th Amendment Section 3 disqualification. That's under the United States Constitution. That's from the Colorado Supreme Court that made a ruling on a 4-3 basis, finding that Donald Trump was an insurrectionist and an officer, and therefore was disqualified from the Colorado ballot. That's what went before the Supreme Court here. Separately, there's the issue of absolute presidential immunity, which Trump asserted in the criminal case in Washington, D.C., which is being prosecuted by Special Counsel Jack Smith there. The D.C. Circuit Court of Appeal made a ruling affirming the federal judge Tanya Chutkin's order denying Donald Trump's motion to dismiss the indictment on absolute presidential immunity grounds. So even though today's Supreme Court hearing had nothing to do with absolute presidential immunity, here's Donald Trump whining about why he should have absolute immunity. Play this clip.
Well, I can say presidential immunity, which we'll be talking about because that will be upcoming, is very, very important for a president to have. If a president doesn't have immunity, he really doesn't have a presidency. He can be told to do things that he would never do. He can do really bad things for our country. Presidential immunity is imperative. It's going to be very, very important. And I'd rather talk about that next week, but there is nothing more important to a presidency than immunity, because they have to be free to make decisions without saying, oh, if I do this or if I do that, as soon as I get out of office, we're going to be indicted, we're going to have trouble. And the other party will do that. I think we've seen that. They've done that. There's some very bad people. And you have an opposition party, and they will do things that are very bad. If you don't have immunity, you can be blackmailed. You can be, as a president, they'll say, if you don't do this, this, and this, we're going to indict you as soon as you leave office. You cannot allow a president to be out there without immunity. They don't have immunity. You don't have a presidency. You lose all, you lose all form of free thought and good thought. And you probably weaken the presidency to a point that it was never supposed to be weakened. It would be a very bad thing for our country. We'll be talking about immunity in the coming weeks.
How confident are you that you will be treated fairly by the Supreme Court justices? And how much of a time frame do you need a decision in order for it not to be ready?
Well, I'm a believer in our country, and I'm a believer in the Supreme Court. I listened today, and I thought our arguments were very, very strong. An argument that is very important is the fact that you're leading in every race, you're leading in every state, you're leading in the country against both Republican and Democrat. And Biden, you're leading in the country by a lot. And can you take the person that's leading everywhere and say, hey, we're not going to let you run? You know, I think that's pretty tough to do, but I'm leaving it up to the Supreme Court. Thank you all very much.
And again, you have Donald Trump parroting the arguments that his lawyers made and that Trump's made before, which is that you should, that it would be perfectly okay if he had SEAL Team 6 kill a political opponent. That's the type of immunity he should have. Here's him saying that. Play this clip.
Do you agree with your lawyers what they said on Tuesday, that you should not be prosecuted or could not be prosecuted if you ordered SEAL Team 6 to kill a political opponent?
Well, you're talking about a totally different case, the immunity. I say this, on immunity, very simple. If a president of the United States does not have immunity, he'll be totally ineffective because he won't be able to do anything, because it will mean he'll be prosecuted, strongly prosecuted perhaps, as soon as he leaves office by the opposing party.
And that was from a prior press conference, the one that you just saw after the New York Attorney General civil fraud case concluded one of its days of trial. Donald Trump held that press conference at one of his buildings, which was the situs of the fraud being alleged in the New York Attorney General civil fraud case, and Trump gave that comment that you just saw. Donald Trump did not say Nikki Haley. He blamed the insurrection on Nancy Pelosi. But I think the Republican caliber of, I guess, politics and leadership is that, well, he didn't call her Nikki Haley. He spread a deranged and dangerous conspiracy about Nancy Pelosi. But on the bright side, he did not say Nikki Haley, Nikki Haley, Nikki Haley. What was that? Anyway, here he is right here. Play this clip.
Never reports the crowds, you know. By the way, they never report the crowd on January 6th. You know, Nikki Haley, you know, did you know they destroyed all of the information, all of the evidence, everything, deleted and destroyed all of it, because of lots of things. Like Nikki Haley is in charge of security. We offered her 10,000 people.
Folks, you can go check out, we have the full Supreme Court oral argument, from the disqualification case. Look, I always want to be objective. Donald Trump's lawyer, I disagree with the arguments. I disagree ultimately with, I think the Supreme Court's going to reverse the Colorado Supreme Court. I think they're going to allow Donald Trump to be on the ballot after watching that. But I'll say this. You have Trump's lawyer who, by all accounts, did a pretty good job. And I listened to the oral argument. I mean, I don't like what he argued, but I thought his delivery and his lawyering skills were impressive. That's how I feel. You could disagree with that, but I watched it. I listened to it. It's how I feel. But then Donald Trump immediately after, almost out of like, whether it's like jealousy or needing the attention to be about him after his lawyer did, you know, a fairly good job given the circumstances. Trump goes out and goes, it was an insurrection. Nancy Pelosi did it. It was an insurrection. And then throws his lawyer under the bus and undermines him. It's a typical Trump malignant narcissistic trait right there. Anyway, tell me how you feel in the comments. We're on our way now to 3 million subscribers. We just passed 2. Thanks for watching, and sign up for our newsletter, MeidasTouch.com/newsletter, and have a great day.
Hey Midas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram @MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.